Hi everyone. My name is Latoya Leary. I'm the founder and president of Amana Bible Institute. We are an institution that is specifically here for the community, for you, for Christians and non-Christians alike. Though we are a Bible Institute, so we teach a lot of Bible. Most of our classes, though, are quite wide in range and in aspect. A lot of what we hope to do is really just get people in one room where we get to have really important transformative dialogue. So the school is really has at its foundation the need for dialogue, effective fellowship, and just this need for the expansion of mentality, and especially when it comes to a lot of these Christian and or non-Christian ideologies. So we want to bring them out to you. We want to make it really clear who we are and what the Bible is and how to effectively gain really good techniques of how to explore it and study it and really pull out effective interpretations. We also want to let you know how multiplicitous these interpretations are, and we just want to create an environment where everyone can come in, give their point of view, support their point of view, be open to other points of views, and leave just better. So in that case, we have quite a few departments. We do have our Bible department, which is strictly historical critical. We teach a lot of Bible from a very intellectual and historical standpoint. So there's going to be some things that you hear that you won't like, but we're going to challenge you, and we're going to ask questions as to, like, why is that there? Why does God sanction genocide in the book of Joshua? What do we do with that? How do we live it out? We also have a biblical languages department. So we teach you Hebrew and Greek, and hopefully in the future, Latin and Aramaic. And we allow you the power to be a translator of the original language, of the text in its original language. We have the worship and the arts department, which not only has a dance company in it that's not quite up and running, but if you are interested, let us know. And we also have arts classes in there, one of which we are going to be offering this coming semester. Actually term 1, so it starts January 10th. So stay tuned if you're interested in a class on the arts. It really focuses on healing through art forms. And last but not least, we have a leadership, entrepreneurship, and spiritual development area, which is just filled with all of these amazing courses for your own personal development. So we have courses on entrepreneurship, on ministry, on the prophetic. We also have courses in business and in really practical things like how to write a book in a small period of time, how to be effective in marketing your ministry using social media. So we have quite a bit of courses and quite a bit of really amazing instructors who are here to lead you on this journey and to help you work towards being a better you, and prayerfully work towards making the body of Christ a better body, and work towards making the world a better world. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce some of our instructors here. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. There's just 3 of us here on the line, but we do have 6 instructors. So I will introduce or let the 2 who are here introduce themselves, but I will also let you know after a little bit more about the remaining instructors who aren't here today. So why don't we have Onika go first?
Sure, I thought you would let Cam go. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this call, this webinar this morning. We're so grateful that you guys would just take the time out to just come and hang out with us just to see what this is all about. My name's Onika Stewart, as Professor Leary has already stated, and I am one of the instructors in the biblical languages area, but I am cross-trained, so to speak. So I I'm also a teacher in the leadership area of our institute, and just wherever else I feel the need to lend my services. I'm really passionate about what Amana is doing. So whatever it is we need to do, whatever it is you need us to bring to you, is what I'm here for. I'm a recent graduate, well, twice graduate of Columbia Theological Seminary. Um, and my passion is just all things Bible, from the biblical languages to and specifically New Testament. But don't get me wrong, I love the Old Testament as well. Love a good dialogue about some of the more difficult topics that that we encounter as we engage the text. But even more so, I'm more interested in helping students kind of finding their own voice, understanding, okay, what are the methodologies behind biblical interpretation, but also finding your own self, finding God in you, finding the text to be able to speak to you right where you are, and so on and so forth. So my time in terms of classroom instruction is always centered on the student and what the student is bringing to the table as we engage in biblical interpretation. Some of the classes I've taught and will teach gospel parables, Pauline literature, Intro to New Testament. Just we have so many course offerings, but they're exciting times. So I just want to encourage you guys to check out our course listing for winter and spring, and just try one class. And I'm telling you, you're not going to be the same. Apart from that, prayer is one of my passions as well. So you'll often find me teaching classes on prayer, demystifying prayer, understanding prayer, spiritual warfare, and courses along those lines, because we're not only interested in your intellectual development, but we're also very interested in your spiritual development as well. So thank you for this time, Dr. Larry.
Thank you. And now we'll have Professor Cam introduce himself.
Hi, I'm from Cape Town, South Africa. So I think I'm probably the only one from South Africa, um, part of Amana at the moment. What I'm will be teaching will be social entrepreneurship as well as church administration. So those are two of my passions, amongst other things like mentorship and other things like that, and business. So those are two of the courses I will be teaching, but a little bit more about myself. It's pretty much afternoon or late afternoon here by us in South Africa at the moment. The wind is blowing because this is on the Blouberg side. So yes, I'm excited to be part of Amana Bible Institute. Yeah, so that is a little bit about me. Maybe a little bit other things. I'm involved with a couple of guys out in the US as well, that we do like a gathering that I'm part of, and that we're busy doing a couple of things together. So that is also something exciting.
Thanks, Professor Cam. And I don't think I've introduced myself as an instructor, so I'll do that. I already mentioned my name is Latoya Leary. I actually teach a lot of the Hebrew Bible Old Testament courses. I have a master's degree from Columbia Theological Seminary and my focus was on Old Testament. I'm also a PhD candidate at FSU, Florida State University. And so I'm just a dissertation away from graduating. So fun times at FSU. I study a little bit of everything: early Judaism, early Christianity, Greco-Roman world. So I got to know a lot of stuff. And that just means that when you come and take classes with me, you get to learn a lot of stuff, So do register and try us out. I will say Amana is actually about 4 years old, even though we've just officially become a nonprofit just last year. And in the 4 years, it's been such a pleasure to like come in contact with so many different people and to really help them along their spiritual walk. And many of those people who were very consistent earlier on when our program was absolutely free are still very, very much students. And they are a huge part of our active support here at ABI now that we are an official nonprofit organization. So I think that means that there's a greater chance of you coming to us and being able to leave with something. We do offer courses every single month as well. So if you don't like this lineup for January, there are going to be more courses in February for you to try us out with. And then there's more courses in March. We offer courses every month. And I'll talk a little bit about our payment plans a little later. But we do have a few other instructors. We have Cord Brown, who is extremely proficient in leadership and Christian ministries, has quite a few degrees there in that area. And he's going to be teaching a lot of our marketplace ministry courses, and he's also going to be teaching courses related to church planting. He is himself a church planter and is planting a church during this time, this crazy time during this pandemic, which actually makes him a pretty like even better of a source when it comes to planting a church and thinking about how to be creative in your plant in crazy times. We have Professor El Michelle, who is just a fireball, and she's amazing. She's going to get you excited the moment you see her. She teaches our courses in media, and then really just bringing yourself to media. So she's not necessarily just simply telling you how to use Facebook, how to use Instagram or YouTube or whatnot. The staple of what she does is in really helping you to bring your true self to those social media forums, as these social media forums give us the opportunity to be someone that we aren't quite. So she's really great at helping you to bring all of you to it. And last but not least, we have Professor Miranda Cole, who is our book coach, and she's going to help you write those books in a short period of time. She's also in our worship in the arts department, and she's going to help with courses in theater and in acting, things of that nature, in writing plays. And she also is amazing at developing marketing tools. So she'll also offer courses in like Photoshop and development of like business tools, practical business tools like business cards and flyers and things of that nature. So we have a ton, like we have staff who are just proficient in a ton of different areas, and there is really no way that you can go wrong here. If you're looking for one specific thing, odds are we can provide that. So as this broadcast goes on, if there are courses that you don't see that we're offering that you want us to offer, send us a message. We'll see what we can do. Odds are is among this staff of 6, we have the ability to offer those courses. But if not, we are always looking for new instructors. So if you are interested, you do not need to have a Bible degree to be an instructor for us. You can just go onto our website, click on contact us, and go to our recruitment portal. So before getting into our fall lineup, or spring, lineup, I want to first off give you an idea of how we do our payment plans. So we have 3 different types of payment plans. We have one pay by course plan that allows you to pay for each course individually. We do offer courses every month though, but there might be a course that you just want to take, and it's 4 weeks long, and then you might not want to take another course for another 2 or so months. If that is you, then our pay by course plan is going to be for you. Nonetheless, there are plans that will get you discounts and that will have you on track to being a lifelong learner, which is the goal of ABI. We want to create lifelong learners, which is why we have a monthly subscription plan that allows you to enroll in 1 to 3 courses every month for a flat fee. We just take the money out of your account every month on a particular date, and it allows you to register for 1 class every single month. So you can either have a new class every month, or you can register for an 8-week course and have that 1 class for 2 months for that same flat rate fee every month. And those programs are 10% off now. And last but not least, we have certificate programs. We have 6 certificate programs for you, advanced and basic in biblical languages. So you can actually learn those biblical languages and master them well with a basic program in Greek or in Hebrew. We also have biblical studies, which allows you to choose a primary and a secondary focus, whether on Old or New Testament, and you can actually dedicate all of your time to increasing your understanding of the Bible, or you can do both in an advanced certificate. We also have basic and advanced certificates in Christian Ministries, which has various sub departments under it. And really, the Christian Ministry Certificate Program allows you in so many ways to kind of create your own. So it is a very flexible program. You can take classes that are just simply for your personal development and come out with a certificate. The basic certificates require about 5 classes, and the advanced certificate requires 7 to 8 classes. And so you can actually get these certificates within a year or less. You can get them in 5 months. So if you started, for example, with us in January in a Christian ministry certificate, you can actually be done with that by May. And that is the perk of this spring schedule. It gives us so much time, and it really allows you to start a program in January and be done with it by mid-May. And they are 20% off as well. So you should definitely consider those programs. And now I just want to move into our spring lineup. But I see there's quite a few people. Good morning, Miss Mary. Hi, Professor L. Thanks for coming. Good morning, Miss Cynthia. Hi, Mom. Thanks for sharing. So good morning, everyone who's out here. Please do, if you have questions or comments, please do make them. We will announce them aloud, or if you don't want, we will not announce them aloud, but still answer your question. So feel free to share with us, and also share the broadcast. We cannot grow as an institution if we're not able to get out there and let people know who we are, and we would love for you to help us to do that. So this spring, we have 4 terms, but 2 of our terms have an A and a B kind of section to it. And that starts right in January, where we have term 1. Term 1 is an 8-week term. It starts the week of January 10th, and there are 3 courses in it. I'm actually teaching one of the courses, so I'll go and introduce that course and let Professor Onika introduce her 8-week course. I'm teaching Introduction to the Old Testament, and we're actually breaking this entire survey course up. I normally teach this survey to undergraduates in like 14 weeks. So it's a really, really fast course, but we want you to really, really dig into the Bible. And so we're not going to rush it. So I'm only going to teach the entire survey that I typically teach in 14 weeks. I'm going to teach it in 4 terms. And we're starting the first 8-week term with just the Torah. So that's just the first 5 books of the Old Testament or Hebrew Bible. And really, we're going to be not only diving deep into understanding what those books are and what they have, key aspects of those books, because you can't know the New Testament really well if you don't know Old Testament very well. And these 5 books are central to that. So we're going to really dive into understanding the significance of Torah, but we're also going to read some adjacent narratives from the ancient Near Eastern world, and it's going to be really, really fun. We start off with creation narrative, so you get to read not only Genesis 1 and 2, but you get to read the Enuma Elish, you get to read the Hymn to Ptah, the Hymn to Atum, Atrahasis, which are narratives that also from the ancient world that also have creation aspects to them and floods. So it should be really, really fun. That course, once again, is an 8-week course. It starts January 10th, and it's going to meet, what starts the week of January 10th. It's going to meet every Saturday from 11 to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Professor Onika.
Yes, thank you. So I will be teaching a couple different courses as well when we begin our January term here. I'll be teaching gospel parables with a concentration um, on well, all the gospels, that is. But I'll also be teaching the New Testament, introduction to New Testament, and focusing on Pauline literature. So I'm pretty excited about the Pauline literature um, uh, um, track to enter to New Testament, because we get to, in this kind of political climate, this economic climate, we get to kind of center on some of those, what I call those troubling or concerning texts that talk about servants being obedient to their masters, or even the role of women. So what we'll do, depending on what the students' interests are, we will kind of tailor the course to kind of satisfy some of their intellectual curiosity. So if you're very interested in focusing on the role of women in the church historically, and have that in conversation with what's happening in our world today, I definitely would tailor the course to kind of to make sure that we satisfy some of those curiosities. So I'm pretty excited about that, because we've had quite a bit happening in our world, but we've always had people very interested in some of the Pauline texts that talk about wives submitting to their husbands, and what it means to are we really free? There's no slave, there's no male, no female, just some of those texts that have always kind of perplexed us. We'll explore some of those, and of course we will dive into some of the Greek of the text, and we'll explore the language and some of the nuances of the language and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited about these courses this semester. Join me.
Awesome. Now we also have a term 1A, which is a shorter term. All of these courses are just 4 weeks long. I'm actually teaching one of them, and Professor Onika mentioned one of these courses that she's also teaching. But another of these courses is taught by Professor Cord, who's not here. He is teaching Marketplace Ministries. That course will also start the week of January 10th, but it meets Saturdays from 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And really, he's just going to be going through the theology of ministry, and not just specifically in the church, but how these ministerial gifts are operational outside of the church. So in non-religious institutions. He's also going to be addressing various spheres of influence and how to consider that when you're talking about being a minister in the world. So it should be a really fun course. I'm going to be teaching a course called Prophetic Artistry, and I am so excited for this course. I am a dancer myself, and I am a musician as well. I was a magnet band and played multiple instruments, probably about 7 instruments since I was in the 4th grade. So even written music at certain points in my life. So this course is going to be so fun. We really want every single type of creative in this course. So it's not just for those who are musically inclined or who are dancers, or artists, visual and digital artists, or performing artists, but we also want people who are creative writers and who have other creative ways of producing art. And really, we're going to be talking about this course, or doing this course, in 2 parts. The part 1 course is what's offered in 4 weeks in January. The first part of that course is all about you. So it's all about utilizing your own art form to work through personal healing. And then part 2 of that course is all about people. So it's about utilizing your personal art form to actually minister to a particular target audience. So the goal of these courses are somewhat similar but different. We get you right first, and then we talk about people. And it's going to be super fun. In creative, we're going to talk about the prophetic scribe. We're going to have Professor L come in and talk about um, uh, immersive journaling, which is something that she's coined, that is just an amazing technique of really getting to know who you are and really breaking into aspects of you. And it's just going to be fun. So please come on and register for that. It's just $60. And if you register for it through a monthly program or through a certificate, you can get 10 to 20% off of that 60. I mean, we do offer payment plans, by the way, for our certificate programs. And Professor Onika, did you want to share a little bit more about gospel parables? We do have a question on Facebook. Yes, Miss Cynthia, we are teaching Hebrew. We are teaching Hebrew in term 3. It's going to be an 8-week course. And since Professor Onika's slightly away, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about that. In term 2, we're going to be teaching a biblical languages primer. It's going to be co-taught by me and Professor Onika. In that course, we're going to be giving you all of the skills that you need to effectively learn a biblical language, whether it's Hebrew or Greek. So we're going to teach everybody Hebrew and the Hebrew and Greek alphabet and some basics to learning a biblical language in that course. That is a 4-week course. It costs $60. But what you can do is when you take that 4-week course that starts in February, in the biblical languages primer, and you register for your Hebrew course or your Greek course that will start in March as an 8-week course, we will push that $60 into your language course. So you'll only have to pay $60 for the language. So you're actually getting a course for free. So if you want to take advantage of a free course, you should start in by taking that biblical languages primer course, which starts February 14th. It's a 4-week course. You'll pay $60 to register for it, but then we will push that $60 over and you can continue. I think in your case, Miss Cynthia, you want to take Hebrew, so you will push that over into the Essentials of Biblical Hebrew course, which will start in March. It is an 8-week course and it will meet Saturdays from 11 to 12:30 p.m. By the way, that primer course will meet Tuesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. So all the 4-week courses as a staple is just an hour, and then the 8-week courses are about an hour and a half. So we want to make sure you're getting more than your money's worth. And by the way, all of our languages are not based upon memorization. What we typically do is we have you memorize just the very basics of the language. And then what we will do is we will allow you to utilize your dictionary, your notes, your grammar book in order to take our quizzes. So we're going to teach you the mechanics of the language. We're going to have you memorize only the basics, and then we're going to allow you to lean on your tools for effective translation. Work in development, because you're not trying to be a master of Hebrew or Greek. You're trying to learn how to translate the language for yourself. So we're not going to pull you away from your tools. So in this case, you will be able to learn these languages quite quickly. We do teach them in 2 parts. So you learn the first part of Hebrew or New Testament Greek in 8 weeks, and then you learn the second part in another 8 weeks. And then we start offering shorter exegesis courses. These are courses that goes through books of the Bible. We're going to translate Bible, and then we're going to interpret. We're going to think about what that text means utilizing its original language. Probably one of the first books we'll do that with in Hebrew would be Ruth. Ruth has very simple Hebrew, and oh my gosh, it is so scandalous when you look at the Hebrew. Super scandalous. So yes, please register for that. And yes, Miss Cynthia, I look forward to your contact. I think you have my personal number. Feel free to use it or text. And if you don't, just send me a personal message and I will give it to you. Also in term 2, we are teaching a course called Bible Sex and Other Texts. I'm teaching that course. It's going to meet Thursdays from 7 to 8. And this is a 2-part course. You get both parts though this spring, which is nice. So we start off with the first 4 weeks just chatting about really the focus of the first 4 weeks is just on Bible. It's on sex, sexuality, and gender in the Hebrew Bible and in the ancient Near Eastern world. So you get a little bit of what you get in the Hebrew Bible course. We're going to go through the creation narratives. We're going to actually read some ancient Near Eastern creation narratives like the Enuma Elish, the Hymn to Ptah, the Hymn to Atum. But we're also going to read some little scandalous stuff like the alphabet of Ben Sira, which is it's rough. It's really interesting. And it's full of really funny and just really parodic elements that revolve around pregnancy with like super sperm. I don't know. It's really crazy. Nonetheless, this text is it's filled with religious imagery utilizing like I guess this idea of sex and the erotic, but also kind of spoofing off of the birth of Jesus. So there's a lot that's there. Part 2 of the course is going to focus on themes like virginity and marriage and things of that nature in the New Testament, in early Judaism, and in early Christianity. So we're going to really get in that and just really talk about these things. One of the things that I've been thinking about with this course, with part 2 of it, I've taught part 1 before, but I've never actually gone through with teaching part 2 outside of in the course I teach for FSU, gender and religion. But part 2 of this course, I think we're going to talk about some sexual orientations that aren't discussed enough in the church or at all in the church. And that is asexuality or aromanticism. And we're going to bring that with, we're going to think about some early Christian literature and where that might be present. So it's going to be super fun. Come and learn about sex and sexuality and gender. And come with me on this journey because there are really no finite answers here. Like, we're all just going to be having questions and feeling somewhat satisfied that our questions are answered, but still having more. And that's the point, right? We have to keep asking questions if we want the learning process to continue. Last but not least, term 2 brings us social entrepreneurship. I'm going to let Professor Cam talk about that.
Hi there again. The social entrepreneurship course is basically concerned with the social entrepreneurship environment and also how we can improve the living conditions for all who's impacted by some sort of social injustice, everything through social entrepreneurship. And the course basically examines the biblical principles and the social dynamics as a basis for basically correcting the actions that has been taken in the past. So just a little bit about the course and what we will basically go through. We were going to understand the theory and the biblical basis of social entrepreneurship. We will determine the importance of social entrepreneurship, investigate the challenges that social enterprises face while they're trying to improve the economic well-being for others, and also develop strategies and ways in how we can go about doing things differently in order to make improve the conditions for some. We can't say we improve the conditions for all, although we would like to do that. But the world is a bit of a big place. We know that God is in control and He's able to do everything. But we do what we can do as an individual. So each little bit counts.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Cam. And, I think that this social entrepreneurship course is actually quite timely. We're picking up the pieces when it comes to this pandemic, and in the United States itself when it comes to these, this crazy election stuff. And I think in this case, there are, so many places and ways in which this course on social entrepreneurship can be helpful in not only securing the bag for you, but making sure that as you secure the bag, you are bettering your community. And there's definitely a lot of destitution in that case, not just here in the United States, but also elsewhere in the world, because the pandemic has touched us all. So Thank you, Professor Cam. Term 3, I've already discussed that we're going to teach Hebrew and Greek. Really excited about those. We're also teaching Bible Sex and Other Sex Part 2, which I've discussed already. It will meet same time, Thursday, 7 to 8. And it will just follow part 1. So you'll take part 1 in February, and if you want, you can move into part 2 in March. What also is at work here is if you can't take part 1 but you want to take part 2, you can totally do that. Or if you want to take part 1 but you're not that interested in part 2, both are possible. The courses don't quite require knowledge of what's been previously done in order to catch up. We also have back to the text, understanding prayer. So I'm going to let Professor Onika discuss that.
Yes, thank you. So prayer, like I said before, guys, is one of my passions. I am totally in love with this mode of communication. So with this particular class, we're very interested in helping our students to find their way of communicating with God through prayer. So we spend a lot of time just thinking through demystifying things that we have learned as we grew up. Some of us have grown up in church. Just kind of thinking through some of the things we were taught we were taught our Bible, but really aren't. Some things that kind of restrict and hinder our own ability to be open to hearing God and hearing God in a variety of ways. The class we had this semester was very engaging, and the students, it was just such a blessing. I think the students who come to the class do more to bless me in terms of from a learning perspective than anything else. You learn to uncover your hidden ways of communicating with God, or ways that you never thought God would be interested in communicating with you. And some of that sometimes looks like silence. Some of it looks like dance. It could look like working out, listening to the water, driving along the countryside, like whatever that looks like. We're very focused on figuring out what that looks like for each of us. I know we talked about earlier this year, developing your own prophetic language. Prayer, I think, is also its own language, and it can be a prophetic language, but there are ways that God communicates with us. Learning more about that being a two-way conversation rather than it being a one-way, just sit and tell God what we want. No, it's more than that. There's more that God wants to communicate with us in every single area of our lives. So I promise you that once you take time to engage in this class with us, you'll learn a thing or two about the biblical text and prayer, but you'll also learn a thing or two about yourself and about this God who is so vast. There's so many ways that this God shows up, and we limit ourselves when we're not open to kind of thinking through, how else can I experience God in the earth and in my life today? So I'm excited about being with you guys during that semester in March, and I hope you will indeed come sign up, encourage your friends, ask our past students, and you'll see. So looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Onika. So I'm really excited about this prayer class. Actually, I might take it. We have I believe we offered this course in this past fall, and almost every student I've spoken to personally, almost every student I've spoken to personally has such amazing things to say about this class. So many of them have said that their lives are like forever changed as a result of this class. And, I know Professor Onika pretty well. I'm sure she had these folks like praying and stuff in this class and all. So you can't come to this class and not expect to do any work. She's gonna make you do the work, but it's gonna be rewarding. And from the comments of these students, it was extremely rewarding. So do take that prayer class. It starts the week of March 21st, and it meets on Tuesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. Last but not least, in term 3, we're offering church administration. It is co-taught by Professor Cam and Professor Cord. I'm going to let Professor Cam talk to you a tad about.
Okay, the church administration courses really come about because um, between this discussion between myself and Cord, we've come to realize that often we do biblical studies or we go to theological seminary, but we don't have a clue in how to actually administer the day-to-day operations of a church. And pretty much a church is, many may not like it, but the church is pretty much like a business. So there's even a greater responsibility because there's a responsibility not only to to perhaps government departments and company related departments, but also to Christ. So we found that it's important that new pastors and pastors understand how to go about administering a church. So some of the things that we will basically develop an understanding of church administration and leadership, acquire a practical understanding of church business and finance, including budgeting, obtain knowledge of social justice and the church, because the church should have a strong focus on social justice, because that was Jesus was all about, and how they can work that into the administration, understand their own leadership and leadership style, articulate principles which are fundamental and fundamental to leadership in the congregation, develop a mission statement, a vision statement for the church and for those, and also to develop that in conjunction with the members of the church. I think that is important. Often pastors run with their own vision and missions. Perhaps, yes, God has laid it on their heart, but generally it should be in conjunction with others as well. And then identify proper policies and procedures. Are we going to go about doing things? For example, what is the social media policy? What can we communicate in social media, etc.? What happens when there's a scandal at the church? How are we going to handle that? Is the person just going to disappear? Who's the perpetrator? Or actually going to walk a journey with the individual, depending on the offense? And regardless, and also a proper understanding of fiduciary requirements. That is basically, like I mentioned, related to government departments and what sort of reporting the church has to do in order to make sure that we are compliant with everything. So that is just a little bit about church administration. It sounds like a mouthful, but it's important.
Yeah, I can't agree more. It certainly is important. And what I really love about this course is that you're actually going to get this taught by someone who's coming from a point of view of an African point of view, someone who's in South Africa and teaching you this from a more international point of view. And then you're going to have someone who's native to the United States who is actually planting a church, who is also going to be helping you and guiding you through how to work through these administrative concerns. And in that case, this course is not just for the church planter, but it's also for the church administrator. It's for, the ministry or leadership team of a church. It's for anyone who's thinking about not just how to function or how a church should function, but how a ministry should function. These concerns strike me as things that I would need to know, for example, for Amana's purposes, because Amana is not a church, but we are very much a ministry. So even if you are not building or planting a church, but you are planting a non-church based ministry, you should definitely consider taking this course. The last two courses I want to tell you about, they're offered in term 4, so they start in April of 2021, and then we'll produce for you a summer and fall schedule later on, probably around March or April of 2021. Excuse me. But we're offering 2 courses. One of these courses I'm teaching, it's called Bible Language Tools Online Resources. And this course is actually, you're going to get a lot more than you bargained for. All of these courses, let me say, you get more than you bargained for. But in Bible Language Tools, it's not a language course. It's a course that helps you, that gives you the resources that you need to better understand the Bible, to understand how to read the Bible, how to interpret the Bible. So I'm teaching you how to use online language resources to guide you through your own biblical study. So we're going to be using some kind of Bible app, whether it's Blue Letter Bible or whether it's Rhema, the Rhema Bible app, which is equally great. And we're going to be talking about why translation matters, why context matters, how to find tools that help you find historical context. But we're also going to be talking about how to do a word study. And the reason why you're going to get even more of a steal in this course is because I'm actually developing a manual on how to study the Bible. And I believe this course will be the first course to actually have my manual. So, and this manual has like schematics and screenshots in it, that make it a lot more helpful for you to follow along. And we're actually going to be utilizing different examples in the course so that you actually have the examples in the manual to work through on your own. So you get double the practice, but also all of your assignments are going to be related to things like creating a word study, creating a contextual analysis, creating an exegetical focus, creating a theological reflection, thinking about what does this text say about God? What does this text say about humans? Like really thinking about those really important aspects of biblical text that are I would say, seldomly considered alone, in isolation of themselves, and then combined. So it's going to be a fun course. I've taught this course multiple times for Amana, so there are students who can kind of vouch for this course, and it's taken a while to kind of produce it in this format, which works perfectly. It was first a 12-week course, and it was an 8-week course, and now it's a 4-week course, and it's just perfect. So, so take it, and maybe you can help me perfect it even more, because there is really no course that's perfect. So yeah, please help me with that. We are also offering leadership and organizational management, also taught by Professor Cord and Professor Cam. I'm going to let Professor Cam talk to you a little.
Um, Professor Code is pretty much the primary on that one. Um, so in terms of the leadership course, there we're going to go into leadership really in all aspects of leadership in the church, leadership in business, and we're going to be focusing a lot of how to be an effective leader and what we need to do that, because in every way we all in our own rights basically um, a leader. Often we say that a leader is born, but I believe a little bit differently. Yes, we may have innate skills to be a leader, but pretty much we need to learn what it is to be an effective leader and how we're going to go about doing that. So I'll basically be supporting Code in that course, also co-teaching it with him. So yeah, that's pretty much leadership.
Awesome. And I'll also note that leadership and organizational management is actually key aspects of both Professor Cam's and Professor Cord's actual degree work. So they both have degrees that centered on this very subject area. So it's definitely a great course for you to like pick their brains and pull out all of that really great information that they have. Um, it's going to be great. That is our spring lineup, you guys. We got a lot offered and available for you guys, and these courses are not very expensive, but they are there to allow you the chance to be a lifelong learner, with us, and not just with us, but for you. And also for you to build a community, right? A community of people who don't think like you, but are who are willing to have the tough conversation and ask the tough questions. Um, I will just say one more thing, and then we will see if there are any questions on Facebook. But The only other thing that we are offering this spring are it's webinars, and they're free of charge. So register, they're very much free. You don't have to pay anything. We're not going to require any, not even a donation. It's free of charge. Come out and pick the brains of your instructors. And we have quite a few webinars available to you. This is the last one in December. But in January, starting January 9th, we're going to have a webinar on social entrepreneurship. So you get to actually pick Professor Cam's brain and get a little bit of a taste of the social entrepreneurship course that he's going to teach. And on January 12th, me and Onika Stewart are going to be co-teaching a course on why translation matters. And if my translation chapter is ready, it is done. But if I deem it ready, I might give you a free chapter, if you come to this free webinar. So you might get a little treat from the Bible Studies manual. I really love that chapter too. So because it really just blows up everything, and it helps you to think about how language and so many of the things we do in the world, it's just a cultural enterprise, and the Bible is a cultural book, right? And so we really just think about why that matters and why that means that there are even less answers, or less solid and like solidified answers when it comes to the Bible. You got to keep asking it questions, and it really just also emphasizes the need to allow the Bible to have a voice of its own. We're so used to giving the Bible the voice we want it to have, but the text has a voice, and we're going to teach you how to hear it. So really excited about that. In January, we're also offering a Personal Growth Matters webinar on spiritual formation. We're offering a Real Talk webinar just on the anointing. These Real Talk webinars are going to be so much fun because we literally just come to you with no notes, with no PowerPoint, and we literally just talk from our head on particular topics. So in this case, these topics will be, topic will be all about the anointing. I like to think about how the church talks about the anointing as like Superman. So we're really going to be having a lot of fun, and you're going to get to see how my brain works. Like, I'm just like, you mean it's like that empowerment thing that like Dr. Strange's coat? Like, what is it? We're going to really talk about that. But in February, we have another Real Talk seminar just on God and gender. So we're going to be talking about how God has received a masculine gender, why it matters. But we're also going to be challenging that thing, and we're going to be talking about how God in the Bible has actually, feminine characteristics at times. In that case, we might talk a little bit about the plurality of God. I'm not really sure where it's going to go because it's just a real talk that we're all just going to be like dumping our brains out on you. But it's going to be fun because who doesn't want to talk about the gender of God? But we also have in February a great webinar on building your digital self. We have a ministry and societal change on ethics in the church and the marketplace. You get a little taste of that prayer course with Professor Onika in February, where she talks about demystifying prayer. And then in March, we have a few webinars, one on building your digital self with VR. You guys are talking about virtual and augmented reality. We have a Marketplace Ministries webinar on best practices for effective networking, which is really, really important, especially in a time like this. We're going to have a talk about emotional intelligence and its relevance to biblical texts. And then we're going to end it out actually with a webinar, a Real Talk webinar with no notes and just our brains on the plurality of God. I can imagine that's going to go a whole lot of places, including Genesis 1, where the term for God is Elohim, and that is a plural term, you guys. It literally means gods. So it's going to be fun. My brain is already like thinking, and my wheels are turning about what I might talk about, and I'm not sure where everyone else is, but we're gonna chat about it. So we got a lot coming for you guys. coming to you guys and for you guys for your own personal and spiritual development. And we really heavily encourage you to register for our courses. But also, if you want a little taste of who we are and how we teach, our webinars are a great way to go. You know, sometimes our webinars get a lot more, you get a lot more of us than we'd like you to. Because we are asking tough questions. And sometimes these tough questions, you know, people don't want to answer them in a webinar like base. They prefer the intimacy of our classes. So there is a little bit of a difference. You get a lot more intimacy in our classes. You get a lot more social and student engagement in our classes than you do in our webinars. But it's still a really good gauge of the knowledge of the instructor. So please do register for them. And I'm just going to ask out there in Facebook if you guys have any questions. We're happy to answer them. If you want to send your questions to us, you can email us at amanabibleinstitute@gmail.com. And if you would like free personal academic or spiritual counseling, you can also email us, DM us, or just register for the open house webinar, even though it's literally about to end right now. If you just register for that, we'll send you an email for a link for personal counseling. So if there's no questions, we hope that you guys have a beautiful day, and let us know if we can help you with anything. Anything from the instructors? Anyone want to share anything? Last minute thoughts? Okay.
I'm just looking forward to all these new students who are going to join us. Those webinars are really going to be some exciting stuff going on. So if you're still concerned about, whether or not Amana is for you, come and really hang out with us during those webinars. You really get to see some sides of us that I think you might like. So come on, get on this train. We're looking for you to come and learn and journey with us. Have a great day.
Have a nice day, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.